I'm Jackie Reese. We're here to talk about the 2016 Brattleboro Film Festival, which is running at the Latchis Theater for the 5th year from November 4th to November 13th. With me are 3 of the 6 members of the Brattleboro Film Festival Film Selection Committee. And if you could just please introduce yourselves.
I'm Marlene Everingham.
I'm Mary Elder.
And I'm Ian Heffley.
Ian and Marlene have been on film selection for the past several years, and Mary Elder has been heading up film selection since the beginning of the BFF phase, and including that, has been involved with film festivals in Brattleboro for over 26 years. During the year, I know Brattleboro Film Festival has partnerships with other events, such as CineSlam and the VTIFF. Mary, can you tell us a little about these collaborations?
Yeah. Well, CineSlam actually happened this summer, and that's actually we had it for the first time last year, which is concentrated on films that are made in Vermont. And it's a very fun event. I went to it both years. It's just wonderful. There's food and drink. Get to talk with the filmmakers. It's a wonderful event. If people get to a chance to see that, it's in the summertime. And VTIFF, which stands for Vermont International Film Foundation, they have a festival up in Burlington just before ours, and we consider ourselves sister festivals. We actually share some of our films. There's probably about a half a dozen films each year that we both play and share. We share information about films, and it's a very good collaboration. We think of Vermont as, because the population is low, it's really, Vermont is like one big city. And so we find that very beneficial for both of us. So we do that every year as well.
Also, Mary, I know you've been working with Darren Goldsmith at the Latchis Theater on the Off the Beaten Path.
Yes.
I know that this has been so successful because I take tickets at the box office and they expanded the series. I hear all from the patrons all the time how much they appreciate having independent and art house films back at the Latchis.
Yes. Yeah, it's a way for the Brattleboro Film Festival to be part of bringing films that aren't the usual Hollywood blockbuster type films that are off the beaten path, are foreign films or unusual films of merit, and we're part of the process of selecting them, and that's very enjoyable, and I think helps keep us going throughout the year.
Connected.
Yeah, connected.
So now, for this year's lineup, I know that your usual process is that all of the Film Selection Committee members have a full viewing of over 120 films. And after that, you've all agreed on 30 films for this year. Tell me, what are some of the highlights of the films?
Well, we have several highlights, but I think I'll start with, we're opening on Gallery Walk this year. And our opening film is Tana, which is a film by Australian filmmakers, but it's filmed in Vanuatu. And it's actually Australia's entry into this coming Academy Awards in the foreign film category. And it's actually presently on the contender list for that. Don't know if it will make it as a nomination or not, but we'll cross our fingers. Mm-hmm. And that film, I think, pretty much blew us all away. We were all quite in unison on that film. It's a very unusual film. I hadn't seen anything like it, and I've seen a lot of films. And it's a very authentic film in that the actual people, the Yakel people in Vanuatu, it's their story. It's them playing the roles of something that happened in the late 1980s. And it's a Romeo and Juliet type story. It's a love story. And it's the setting, the place where they live is a paradise. And it's photographed beautifully. It's really quite something. And
Isn't that
exciting.
the image? Isn't that the image that we're using for
Yeah,
the poster?
it is. It's the image on our poster.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that film for people to catch that if they can. It's very special.
So that's opening night.
Yeah,
So that'll play opening night.
that's right. And we have a clip of that, I believe.
Do we?
Yeah.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Ai, mami matu asugul jangan melengin. Itu penggelik ni lebih ala ila.
Kini wala mkalba. Kaya ni paadin manayakin tu kan kami tu na Hawaii ko inform nila.
Wow, dari mana simen? Jangan mengambil lagi, migum.
Kapan apahan?
Dan na mo. Kita harap tulang tunggu na mo. O mau entah harap tulang tunggu. Tak ba matok na. Dari kita halaki kay jauh. Kau sabut sobni.
And I think a very important thing to mention about this film is it was a very collaborative project between the people of Vanuatu and the filmmakers. They wrote the story, they transmitted the story for a Western audience, and I know I'll be there in the audience on opening night to see the film again.
And then you have a couple of films about refugees?
Yeah.
Yeah, refugees were a topic that came across on the films very much this year, and we selected 4 of them out of the many that we watched. We're putting 3 of them together as a little triad. Shorts. They're under an hour each, so they'll fit into one of our afternoon blocks. And one of them is called 50 Feet from Syria. It's about a physician who's about 50 feet inside the Turkish border, from on the Syrian-Turkish border, and what he goes through there. He's Syrian himself, so bringing that to the audience is very important, the reality of what's going on in Syria. And we have another Syrian story called My Aleppo. Citizens of Aleppo were chased out. It is in the rebel-held territory right now, and these citizens, you see them in Pretoria in South Africa, in a small Syrian community there. And it's very important to realize that, okay, they're in South Africa, they're going to all these different countries around the world, but they want to go back to Aleppo. They want to see what is happening there. And with the technology of the modern world, you really can keep in contact. You see the text messages going back and forth between Aleppo and Pretoria, clear across continents, but the families have to keep in contact. And technology is actually a great segue for our 3rd Syrian film there. It's called Refugees of Shangri-La, and a little interesting fact for the viewing audience out there, some of the biggest concentrations of Bhutanese, or the last Shangri-La on Earth, are in, some of the refugees that have come are in Essex Junction, Vermont, and Manchester, New Hampshire. So we lucked out this time, and the filmmaker, her partner, and hopefully a member of the Bhutanese community of Manchester, New Hampshire, will be coming to the event. So they're talking about in Bhutan, a small little country landlocked in the Himalayas in southern Central Asia, and how they decided in one year that if you did not have Bhutanese parentage going back 3 generations, you were no longer Bhutanese. And they were forced out of the country, rather reminiscent of Russian pogroms, and they were in Nepalese or Nepali refugee camps until about 75,000 of them have come over recently.
Ian, you arranged with the Bhutanese people to be here in Brattleboro for the film festival, did you not?
We're keeping our fingers crossed. We definitely have the film director coming for a little Q&A in the Latchis building afterwards.
Wonderful.
And we are hoping that she can bring, because she'll be driving through Manchester to get here from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Hopefully she can bring 1 or 2 members of the Bhutanese community there as well. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say also that there's been a lot of activity in Brattleboro on behalf of refugees. People meeting to gather things to send over on a regular basis. And so I think this group of films is going to be very important to those people.
It's very, very important.
One last thing about the Bhutanese community here in Vermont. 7 Days newspaper up in Burlington recently ran a wonderful cover story about the deaf and hard of hearing community in Burlington, or Essex Junction really, and how they are developing a new sign language because it's the Nepali influence, Bhutanese influence, and American Sign Language influence, and it's on their website still.
And just additionally to that, we have another film, a full-length film that's playing at another time that's called After Spring, which is it's a documentary about the largest Syrian refugee camp in the world. And that we're working on a speaker to come that hasn't been locked down, so I won't speak of that, but hopefully there'll be somebody. And I think it's 80,000 people at that camp?
It's about 80,000 people. It's called Al-Zatari refugee camp in northern Jordan, and it was originally set up as a temporary camp, and now it's bigger than most towns and cities in rural Jordan.
And that film, I think, is particularly interesting in that we tend to get a very grim idea, and rightfully so, about the fate of the refugees. But also, this film is testimony to the capability of the Syrians and the fact that they have special activities in schools for the children, and they have marketplaces, market streets, and you really get an impression that these people they are extremely capable people, 80,000 of them. Yeah.
So,
And I know every year we have environmental films. I mean, it's such an important
well, we try
topic.
to, yeah.
Well, it's dear to Vermonters' hearts,
Yeah, yeah.
of course, as
Yeah.
well as all of these subjects. And what do we have for this year?
Marlene?
Well, we've got seeds.
Oh, yeah, need
So,
those seeds.
Let's
Yeah, we have a
watch
clip.
the tape
Oh, we have a
on
clip.
that.
Oh,
We do
okay,
have
great.
a clip, yes.
Okay, great.
Seed saving is all about sex. And humans are all obsessed with sex, even if it's rutabaga sex.
My sweetheart.
This is right up there with making love to your spouse.
Seeds are so crafty.
The diversity in our seed stocks is as endangered as a panda or a polar bear right now.
We are hugely vulnerable with all of those seeds.
When we invaded Iraq, we destroyed that seed bank, and we destroyed the great ancient seeds that had been collected for the benefit of mankind.
Monsanto now owns a quarter of all the world's seeds, along with a couple of other companies. They own about 60% of all the world's commercial seeds.
These companies talk about patenting seed.
We need to protect the diversity and freedom of life. Give seed its own freedom so that we as humans can have our freedom. So these are seeds of hope.
What if there's all kinds of other seeds in nature that have the potential for food production? Sweet?
What's it taste like?
Tastes terrible. Does it taste bad?
Yeah.
That's the bad news about seeds. Really, really bad news. I just read the other day that Monsanto has 60%, owns 60% of the world's seeds. And the wonderful thing about this movie, it does tell the story of how this 94% got to be vanished, endangered and vanished. The wonderful story is you're going to fall in love with seeds with this film. The filmmakers have both covered and followed the seed gatherers who are building seed banks, and you saw the New Englander in the clip. There's Vandana Shiva in India, who was a nuclear engineer, nuclear physicist, and she quit over, this is her life issue, and has built an amazing seed bank and for India and the villages that all around. And they follow collectors of seeds all over the world. You will see seeds that are as attractive and fascinating as precious gems, the variety and kinds of them. And I really dare anyone who watches this film not to fall in love with seeds and really treasure them. It's very important to us and our food supply.
Every year, the Brattleboro Film Festival really works on having a diversity of films, covering a lot of topics and a lot of tastes, so to speak. And some of them are young children and their parents. We try to provide quality films for our children. And I think this year we've worked on getting a few more dramas.
Well, we have one for very small children, which is similar, only just this year's version of one that we had last year. It's like kid flicks, a mixture or collection of the best of the New York International Children's Film Festival. And so we're having the 2016 version of that. So they're mostly animated. And then we have a live action drama, full length, that is in French with subtitles. It's two young girls, I think maybe 10 or 11 years old, somewhere in there. And one girl gets an egg for her birthday, and she hatches it, and they have the duckling, and the duckling bonds with one of the girls. I guess they think the first person they see is the mother. But the duckling unfortunately gets sent away, and they go on a rescue mission to get.
Don't give away the ending.
No, I won't. No, No, but it's a very sweet, very, very sweet film. But we also have this extraordinary film. It's from the 1990s. It's a Japanese anime film called Only Yesterday, and it's never been released in the United States. It's just getting released now. So it's considered one of their best ever in the history. It's made by one of the top directors of anime films. And it's a very poignant film about a young woman who's looking back on her 5th grade self and as she's going forward in her life. And we have a clip of that, so we can show that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even meet that guy. 27 is too old to be picky.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Hey, Taiko?
When my sisters recall the good old days, it's mainly about fashions or pop stars. For them, 1966 was the high point of their youth. But for me, it was just 5th grade.
You can't be serious. Mother! You can't trust boys, even if you have a crush on them. Huh?
Oh, look! The crows are flying away!
Could you ever see yourself living in a place like this?
Taiko!
Hey, farm girl!
Perhaps my 5th grade self is trying to tell me to find a new way to fly.
Yeah, hi. I actually just noticed that Daisy Ridley is the voice of the young woman. And she was the woman who played in the latest Star Wars movie. The girl. So it's like, if anybody has seen that one. This film I wouldn't recommend for young children. I would say it's more for preteens on up. Just there's some themes in there that I think might be too much for little kids. But for preteens, I think that would be fine. It's a gorgeous film, though.
Well, I know My Neighbor Totoro. It's a fantastic. He does have beautiful films. And I think we missed one film before the children's film, which is about restorative justice. And I know that we're having an event around that.
That is definitely true.
Yeah, tell us about the film.
We have a film called The If Project, which is very pertinent this year with all of the police misconduct or violence that you see. This is a real story of restorative justice. It centers upon a detective going into prisons where the women are there. They're women's prisons, and they're all incarcerated women for varying crimes. But they really go in and try and recapacitate them to be members of society. And a really important thing that I wanted to say is we were able to get the filmmaker and the detective to come to Brattleboro, and there will be a Q&A after the film. And I think for a place like Brattleboro, the theme of this film is very close to home. So we do have a clip of that as well, and I would recommend that anyone who is passionate in this town about social justice, you should come and see it, please.
The hardest thing about being here is realizing that life goes on without you.
I don't have nothing. I can't do nothing for myself. I can't do nothing for my family. I can't do nothing.
My reality is I sit here for 17 years and
When I walk out that gate, I hope I have it together enough to where I won't come back.
My name is Kimbo Guki, and I am a Seattle Police Detective. Don't worry, I'm not here to arrest anybody. Apparently that's already happened. What I'm here to do is to try to figure out what it's going to take when you get out, if you're getting out, how to keep you out.
So I was thinking to myself, if. That word is not little to me. It's huge.
We're going to write a letter. This is a letter to yourself.
If someone had told me that the world actually needed me, then maybe I wouldn't have had to come to prison to get free.
If you would have told me 8 years ago that I'd be hanging around in prison and working with felons, I would have laughed at you.
You've changed my life.
Moving forward, what do you need?
Make room for me.
We have room for you. You take a breath? All right, when you're ready.
Definitely take a breath.
Yeah, the officer is amazing in that film.
And she will be in Brattleboro for the film.
I can't wait. I'm really excited about that.
We need this. We
Yeah.
need this
Oh no, she's
we
right.
need this
The
now.
first 5 minutes of the film, she just laid it out, and she was right on target. You know, I was like totally hooked.
Yeah, just spread that stuff around in our police departments. Well, that's going to be a wonderful event. I'm looking forward to that. So are there other events that we haven't touched on yet? Anything?
We could go on and on and on about the other events, but I
that's a
think
bad
we're
question
good.
to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great then.
If I could just say, people should go out there and like us on Facebook for the most up to the minute information with trailers or events and when they are, and our website as well has the information on it.
BrattleBoroFilmFestival.org, all spelled out. We call it BFF, but we've spelled everything out. The same with with our Facebook page. You know, just look for us on there and friend us. We're friendly.
Yeah.
So the dates, again, are November 4th through November 13th. All of the films will be happening at the Latchis Theater. It's our usual times. I know we have our regulars that, you know, at night it's going to be 6:30 and
8:30.
6:30 and 8:30.
And then on the weekends it'll be
12, 2, 4, 6:30 and 8:30.
So you know, come on down to the Latchis. You know, we'll have some information there closer to the date.
Our reception's going to be on our opening night, which is Gallery Walk night.
And that'll take place in the Latchis lobby.
The hotel lobby, yep. And
yeah, the Latchis Hotel.
Yeah, and we are actually showing an art-related film on that night. After Tana, we're showing a film called Tyrus about a Chinese-American artist who was behind the artwork for Bambi, and many other films. So that's something to catch as well. And
you know, so we'll have the schedule there. You know, the schedule will be printed out closer to the date. It always takes a little time to get it all organized.
And we'll still have Best and Fest on the final Sunday. The 4 top films will play.
On November 13th.
Yeah.
So fill out your comment cards. We tell you this all the time. Fill them out because we pay attention. We do.
Your vote matters.
Your vote matters,
Yeah.
you know, and we pay attention to that. And we're happy to represent the films that the audience has decided are the best films, you know, from the festival. So we look forward to seeing you then. You'll see us probably there. I know I'll be there, and everybody else stops in and chats. So come see us.